Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shad, the Sumerian King. I'll be your host today, tonight, and forever. I want to be able to share with you guys some knowledge of what is going on in this world and why humans, us, are up against the reptilians, who are the elites, the ones who want to control humanity, or should I say, they already control humanity. They make wars with other countries. They blackmail politicians. They blackmail movie stars. Pretty much, they run everything in this world. I want to give you guys a breakdown. The serpent that was in the garden was there before Adam and Eve. And that serpent is really serpents that was in the garden. And they didn't go anywhere. They're still here. And this is why when I say they, the ones who like to say Goyim, who likes to identify us as Goyim, well, they are the ones who's ruling this world. And I want to give you guys a breakdown on human rights. What is human rights? So first off, let us begin. Human rights was created as a justified source to violate or accuse the non-human who abuse humans, the reptilians, the reptoids, the reptilian humanoids. There's a particular serpent seed that calls us Goyims. Goyims means human cattle. Basically, we're animals in human forms. So these people are the world's biggest enemies because they are not people. They are cold-blooded. They hate the Most High. They dream of controlling everything in the world that the Most High created for us. When I mean us, the animals, the sea mammals, the people that's on this planet. The Most High gave us life. And these people, they want to take life. So human rights, it includes the right to live, right for liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work, the right to get an education. Everyone is entitled to these rights without discrimination, so they say. The reptilians, they control everything. And their aspect, they hate humans. They hate the Most High's creations. These beings we call cherubims of the Bible and other spiritual texts. They are serpent-like beings who now have the ability to shapeshift into humans, shapeshift into creatures, shapeshift into anything that they can replicate. These beings hate humans because of the fact is that there was a war in heaven where Michael and the archangels fought against the dragon and his angels. And Michael and the archangels defeated them and cast them down to earth. Now, as they're cast down to earth, they rallied up and said that they would mess us up, being sad that they lost the war because it was over us, and they also wanted to control the universe. But it's not to say that s- all of them are evil. You do have some reptilians who do have a heart. They do have sensibility. But the elite ones, the draconians, they don't. Their function is blood, war, famine, disease, killings, genocide. And if you pay attention to what's going on around you, and you could even put your fingers on those beings so you could identify them even more. So ask yourself, why do we need human rights? Why do we? This means we have some people that are not humans. Going back to the Bible to help understand the situation better, I want to read Genesis chapter 3, verse 14 through 15. Verse 14. So the Lord God said to the serpent, which was a humanoid, he was basically in a human form, because you have done this, cursed you are above all livestock and every beast of the field. On your belly will you go, and thus you will eat all the days of your life. Verse 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Before the serpent went on his belly, he was standing on his 2 feet. Yes, he was. He was a humanoid. So, the serpent humanoid reptilian had already previously ejaculated in Eve. Now, when I say ejaculated in Eve, that means they had to have some type of intimate moment, which they did, which also led to her carrying twins. She was carrying the seed of the serpent and the seed of the human being, which is Adam's seed. For better clarification, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, first and foremost, it's not a snake, as you would think of a snake slithering. Snakes don't have a larynx. Think about it. Snakes don't have a larynx, so how could a snake speak to the woman? So it was a humanoid that spoke to Eve. The woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And God the Most High said, well, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. So Eve had a non-human, which was the serpent seed, and a human in her belly, which is Adam's seed. Now, going back, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, which is the snake, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So, if you think about it, so Eve had twins, obviously, because she's carrying the serpent seed and she's carrying Adam's seed. So you'll say, how is this possible? It is possible. Yes, it is. It is possible. In fact, you can have two twins, right? You can have two twins where one of the twin takes the personality or the ways of the father, and then the other twin takes the personality and the ways of its mother, of his or her mother. So, yes, it is possible. Now, moving forward, let's switch things up a bit. If humans attacked or mistreated reptilians. Think about it. Now, if we humans attacked and mistreated reptilians, then they would have reptilian rights. Human rights, reptilian rights. So think about it. Now, what's going on right now with the world? Well, what's going on with the world right now is the reptilians, they feed off of low energy, low vibrations. They feed on fear. They feed on blood. Like, it's like an adrenaline. They need to feed off of this energy. This is what gives them life. So, for example, let's say you got people who likes to do drugs, right? People who likes to do drugs. The reason why people like to do drugs most of the time is there's a feeling that they get. There's a feeling that gets them to that cloud nine or gets them to that nirvana before they come back down again and feel just like the reptilian that they are, low. So you have all these drugs that gives off all these different types of feelings, energy. You get me? So let's see the acts of the reptilians that are committed against humans. And I like to say the reptilian acts committed against humans. First and foremost, genocides. Genocides is the number one, where you had nations and nations who basically committed genocide. And people could take the argument, well, in the Old Testament, the Most High God ordered Moses, Joshua, to destroy the Canaanites, which were the Hittites, etc., right? And basically wiped them off the face of the earth. Now, God knows everything. I don't. Now, wars. Wars is another thing. They love war. Those people that likes to call us Goyims, well, they love war. They make profits of war. They sell. They make money. And also, they feed off of the energy. Now, let's take rape, right? Now, rapes are carried by reptilians. So everything negative is carried by a reptilian-like person or a reptilian-like being. Raping. So, say for example, if a man would rape a woman, would rape a child, it's that feeling that they get. It's like an adrenaline. It's that power. It feeds their ego. It feeds their demonic selves, because they feel that they have the power to take someone's. I'll leave it as that. Now, pedophilia. Now, pedophilia is one of the biggest things right now that we can say is a hot topic, where the Epstein files, these politicians, the elite class, they commit pedophilia, against children and boys. Even in the reptilian book, where it says that, they're allowed to sleep with a child 3 years old, 4 years old. But I'm going to tell you the reason why this occurs. The reason why is that the Most High know what he was doing. He gave them small reproductive systems, reproductive organs, so they wouldn't be able to reproduce. So, in other words, they have small penises. Maybe an inch, maybe a half an inch, maybe just the head, right? That's it. And they cannot please their other reptilian counterpart, women. They cannot, the serpent woman, they cannot please her enough. So what happens is they attack children, because children have small, tiny reproductive organs, whether it's from the buttocks or it's from the front side. So what they do is, These reptilians want to feel like men. They want to feel like King Kong. Oh, they want to feel like Tarzan. Oh, they want to pound on their chests. So, what they do, they attack these children and they penetrate them, whether if it's the front or the back. So when a child is screaming and crying because of this excruciating pain, now that feeling, that cry, they absorb it. It's like they absorb it. So it makes them feel like they're strong, they're mighty, right? You know what I'm talking about. Those who know what I'm talking about, men that want to feel like men, right? They want to punish the opposite. They want to feel, they want to hear screams, they want to hear cries. It gives them that rush instead of, using Viagra, right? So that's what they do. So if their reproductive organs cannot please the front, cannot please the back of a grown woman, they attack children. That's what they do. So, and another thing, oppression, right? Oppression is another form of tactic that they use. They want to be able to oppress, discourage people. Now, racism exists, but I don't believe it, but I know it exists. Why do I say that? Is because whether if you're white, black, brown, blue, green, yellow, orange, right? And we breathe and we bleed the same color, red. We all the same, right? We all the same. It's just that, ideology, the serpent ideology is to turn us against each other. Basically, keep us divided. Because if we come together and unite, the reptilian seeds are gonna have a problem. So this is why they create, ideologies of Muslims versus Christians, religion against religion. My culture is better than your culture. My skin color is better than your skin color. They need division. This is a form of hate, and they feed off of that. Now, taxes, right? They created taxes, these reptilian beings. You have to pay your taxes. Why do I have to pay taxes? You're not doing anything for me. The taxes are going in your pockets. Yes, they say my taxes pay your salary in a lot of cultures and a lot of countries, but really, they're taxing you because they have to feed off of you. Okay? When it comes to tax seasons, people are stressing out. Let you not pay your taxes. See what happens. Because those people that like calling us Goyim, they have to get their taxes, whether or not. This is why that's why they start wars and they create banking systems. They create so much things, so you have to pay taxes. So, next one, man-made diseases. Well, I like to say reptilian-made diseases. All these diseases are reptilian-made because disease is basically disease. So when you don't feel good, right, and you're in pain, that's feeding the matrix of the reptilian. You're putting that into their matrix. So that's why they want people sick. They want you to have cancer. They want you to have diabetes. They want you to have AIDS. They want you to have, we could say STIs, STDs. They want these things to happen to you because it creates pain. It's hurtful. So while you're hurting, you're feeding that matrix of them. Now, the jab 19, okay, jab 19, I'm not going to say the whole name, but you know what I'm saying. Jab 19 was basically another thing that was a stimulation, so to see how many people they can infect for the future. So If you took it, you shouldn't be, don't feel bad. Some people did, some people didn't. You know, I'm one of those who took it. The jab 19, I took 19 jab, the jab 19. But there's ways that you can detox yourself, you know, by exercising regularly, sweating regularly, drinking tea regularly, stay away from sugar, stay away from flour, stay away from rice, stay away from man-made food. Okay? You have to stay away from man-made food to be able to get healed. You're right? So what they did, and they, you know who I'm talking about, they came out with fake fruits. They cloned everything, fake fruits, fake meat, fake this, fake that, because they want you to be sick. They want you to eat artificial. God, the Most High, created natural stuff for us to eat. But no, what they did, they're banning people from eating God's grown food for us that he gave us, as us in this planet, to eat. And the food that he gave us, the fruits that he gave us, has vitamins, has cyanide, right? They don't want you to, if you look, they taking seeds out of every plant, of every fruit. Why is that? Because the seeds, and if you go to Genesis, the Most High God says, the Bible says, eat the fruit and eat its seeds. So what they did is they convinced you that, oh, seeds are not good. Oh, you eat a watermelon, spit the seeds out. Oh, they're not good, right? Well, you could have a watermelon with no seeds, right? The Matrix. So let's move forward. Now, the next thing that they want to do, when I say they, the reptilians, the elites, is they want to, want to put neural chips, implants in people's brains, which is a human rights violation. And they're testing it out on prisoners, right? But what they're doing is they're trying to see if they can go ahead and have that as like the next future, violation towards us, right? So they want to be able to control us, which is again, going back to the reptilians, right? Now, famine. Famine is another thing. Now, famine, you have these people that they use the HAARP machine, HAARP. You could look it up, HAARP machine, where they have they have all kinds of technology where they can go ahead and mess up the ground so food won't grow, right? Like, they done this in Africa, they done this in the Middle East, they done this certain parts of Asia, they done this, in some parts of the Pacific Island. So famine is you're hungry, which creates pain, right? And that's another thing. They're feeding off of you. Now, you got the homosexual crisis that they created, which, by the way, reptilians are bisexuals, they're homosexuals, they are all of those LGBTQ, whatever, right? Those people. And people who are those, they are reptilians. Now, this movement that was created by the same people who calls us Goyims, all right? Because they are homosexuals. And they claim that they are, God's chosen people. But when I say God's chosen people, we are God's chosen people. Keep that in mind, right? And then you have Z-ism. I'm not even going to say the whole word, Z-ism. If you know what Z-ism is, then you would know. Now, Z-ism is what's dominating the world. Z-ism is the religion of this serpent class. Now, you have organ trafficking that's going on, because now with the organ trafficking that's going on is that these reptilians, they want to live for a long time. They want to be able to expand, their life, span, right? Whether if it's 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, because eventually they die too. In the physical world, they die. They can die too. But just like all of us, we all live forever in the spirit, right? And only the Most High can destroy both body and both spirit and the soul. Okay? So organ trafficking is something that's big. The elites, the rich people, the billionaires, the multi-billionaires, they all want to be able to live. So this is why you have people that are getting kidnapped. You know, they're taking their hearts. Whatever they need, you know, they take. It's like organ harvesting, right? That's what they do. So racism, again, racism was created by those same beings, those reptilian demons, okay? Because they want people to hate each other because that also feeds them in the matrix. But if everybody in the world would realize that we are all, like talking about the humans, we're all one, right? Because what's going on is the reptilians basically want the black to hate the white to hate the black, the Spanish to hate the Asian to hate the black, the Asian. But down the line, you know, this is another topic. They want basically everybody in that group to hate one particular group. I'm not gonna say. So let's move on. Slavery. Now, slavery is another thing that is from those same beings, people that like to call us Goyims, okay? It was created from them, and then you got the Arabs too that participated in slavery, right? So when it comes to slavery, at some point, everybody on this planet was a slave to someone else at some point, right? The Irish were slaves, the Anglo-Saxons were slaves, Africans are slaves, some people are still slaves. People in the Caribbean were slaves. Asians were slaves. The Japanese were slaves. Thailand was slave. It goes on and on and on, right? But we're not. It's people would look at it like, oh, maybe humans are enslaving humans. No, reptilian humanoids in human forms are the one who are, you know, basically manipulating and doing the slavery towards non-reptilians. Okay. Now, sex trafficking, we already basically, you know, we could put that as in pedophilia, but sex trafficking is basically, you know, they sex traffic women, kids, boys, men, right? It's like the Jeffrey Epstein Island. Remember, these people that goes there, they have small reproductive organs, so they want to feel like men. And they will never feel like men because the reason why, and this is the reason why they used to, back in slavery time in certain era, you know, they would hang the black man and then they'll chop off his genitals, right? And most of the time it's the reptilians, the humanoids that would do that because, you know, they don't have that. You know, the way that the Most High made it is for them not to reproduce, right? So they would basically die out their own race. So that's how it was created. Human sacrifices is another thing too. Human sacrifice, torture, you know, is basically the icing on the cake, the specialty for the reptilian beings because, you know, what is like euphoric to them hearing someone being tortured, crying, yelling, you know, unbelievable pain, right? That's what they love. So this is another thing that the reptilians do. Like, for example, one of the big human rights violations which was carried out by reptilians, and it's also public knowledge. And I'm not condemning no one, I'm just speaking the facts. So, for example, the United States gave STDs to the Guatemalans, which was carried out by reptilians. You could also see that on YouTube. The Tuskegee syphilis studies, which basically insiders' account of shocking medical, you know, experiment conducted by the government, right, on African American men, right? So it was, again, these were reptilians, right? So it's just basically, you know, can I say, very, very dangerous that once your eyes is open and you start to see the truth, you have social media that want to shut you down because reptilians, they control the social media world, right? So it's just a lot of things that's going on nowadays, right? Like, for example, you got this Nestle CEO guy who said water is not a human right, right? Water is not a human right, right? Pretty much they're going to have us pay for air next. But that was the Nestle CEO who said that. They might try to fact check me on that, but it's the truth. Nothing over here is lies or anything like that. Everything is the truth. So, Human Rights Day, by the way, is December 10th, where us humans, whether you brown, black, and white, we celebrate our human rights, against those reptilian beings who are basically want to take our rights away. Okay? So, I'm going to leave it at that. So, this is Shad, the Sumerian King. It was a pleasure, talking to you guys, sharing this knowledge out to you guys. So, till next time, bye-bye.